going to be a shorter post, but that is perfectly fine. Think of it as a primer for the rest of my work. But this is also an important topic to cover. As my title so boldly states, we're going to be dealing with why context matters. Specifically, I'm zeroing in on why we need to know the context around a verse in the Bible. The importance of context is that it allows us to understand beyond just the words being said. For this reason, as we move forward in these blogcasts and productions, I'm going to do my best to provide the context surrounding scriptures when I quote them. And even if I happen to discover it after the initial recording and it's not something I was able to do the first time, I'm going to do my best to add it in after the fact via editing. Today we have many figures of speech in our language, and it wouldn't be surprised to me if they did back in the past. These figures of speech address things we know about our everyday life. Since moving cross country a few years ago, I've been exposed to many local phrases, and it's taken me a bit to learn their meaning. Since where I live can be qualified as country, I'm learning from those around me about farming and animals, especially sheep. The Bible is full of things talking about sheep, especially when it comes to people. In Matthew chapter 9, it records that Jesus felt sorrowful for the people, for they were like sheep without a shepherd, and now I can fully understand what they meant. Sheep are dumb. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Sheep will follow each other into bad situations, not knowing it. If one of them happens to get outside your fence, they will all come around to it, make noises in distress in response to the first one, and should enough sheep get outside the pasture, they will run off and go and follow the guy who's outside, not realizing they're in the way and easy targets for prey, like wolves or other creatures. And that is how we are described in the scripture, saying that we are not the smartest and they're easy to be led astray. We wouldn't have known that if we hadn't understand sheep as a creature, and if we didn't understand what that means. It means we are not safe outside of Christ's guidance. And if we dive into the Old Testament Torah, we learn that it wasn't just a set of instructions to these people, it was a way of life. They had the whole history of their people from Adam to Moses memorized, and knew all of the laws because they lived them. Since they had this great amount of understanding for what was written, they could relate better to the teachings that drew on this foundation. Here is one example tied to the laws given by God through Moses. These laws existed in 3 categories reserved for specific purposes: moral living instructions, societal governance, also called civil law, and the ceremonial laws that are provided for the purposes of health instructions, for the things not related to the temple or worship of God the Creator, and of course the worship of God and to understand His holiness. The creation account was communicated to the people for 2 reasons. Firstly, to ensure that the people understood that the sun, moon, stars, and all the other things which were worshipped as gods by the Egyptians and Canaanites were actually created by the God of Israel whom they worshipped, making it known to them that all the other so-called gods are under His authority and obey Him. Secondly, it was told so that they might have a written account of where their people came from, so that all the people of Israel could understand why they were being brought there in the promised land, and where the other people groups they encountered came from. I've just now used a lot of examples for the purpose of ensuring you understand why context is important. Today, hopefully, I've used a lot of examples for the purpose of ensuring you understand why context is important today. Hopefully, you're beginning to fully understand why we'll begin looking deeper at the cultural history surrounding when scriptures were written or taking place, and also that you look at the context surrounding the verses themselves. In many Christian circles, there is a phrase I've used in previous posts, and it's this: when there's a therefore, look and see what it's there for. In grammar, the word therefore is used in place of phrases because of, and so, or thus. All of these phrases, all these words communicate that the writer or the speaker is building on what they have previously established. Looking deeply into Scripture for the context is also our best defense against being manipulated by clever speakers. Those who use the Scripture as a way to justify their way of life, a worldview, or anything else. These are the ones we should be looking at and question if what they are saying actually applies correctly to the Scripture, if their ideas are properly drawn from the Scriptures within context. When C.S. Lewis wrote his collection of writings known as the Screwtape Letters, it is from these writings that the idea of people who are merely Christian comes from. This idea means people whose unifying force is the fundamentals of Christianity, rather than having Christianity paired with something else, because that was common and is common, especially when you have a popular cause that you use Christianity to build up, when the cause is what binds it together rather than Christianity. Mere Christianity is something that requires more work because of how it doesn't let go of one thing just to prop up something else. For instance, Christianity or Christianity paired with a cause will use bits and pieces of Christianity to support itself. Mere Christianity demands you accept the part of it which are pleasant and not pleasant to us. There will be elements that agree with us, and thus we are drawn to them, but it's the parts we disagree with that we will be tested for in our commitment. Those who discourage questions and say there's no need for people to look deeper or to gain more understanding through context are the people we should worry about. It is worth noting that in the Screwtape Letters, Screwtape is advising Wormwood that people should look not too deeply in the Scriptures or to look wrongly at the Scriptures, rather than looking at what they say and understanding what is being said. That is not what I'm referring to. I'm referring to those who say you don't even need to look into them, not the ones who say look into them to understand, because what we're doing according to these words is right, and if we look more into these words, we'll understand it even better and can be more right in how we do things. One thing I want to finish by saying is that the things that are related to our salvation, God makes absolutely clear to us because those are His most important elements to communicate. All of the rest, which are a lot more requiring questions and for us to search through, are for the purpose of us building trust in Him, that He will guide us through the process as we search for truth. And as the truth becomes clearer, and truth becomes clearer when we allow for the context of the writing to shine forth as an extra light or as a brighter bulb to replace our old one, which was dim.